everyone. I am Neetu Singh, PhD scholar at Indian Institute of Science, and today with us we have Dr. Nikhil R. Gandasi, Assistant Professor, Department of Developmental Biology Genetics at IISc. A very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you.
We had a pleasure listening to your talk. Further, we want to understand your broader goals and your long-term initiative and approach towards your research group at IISc.
So we work on diverse areas. Mostly endocrine function is one of them, where we look at different hormones being secreted. So that's the functionality of the hormones. On the other side of it, we also look at how they survive. Let's say when there is dysfunction during metabolic disorders or something, what happens to them? That's the other part we study. This is in the endocrine part of the pancreas. There's also an exocrine part of the pancreas, which is mostly involved in digestion. That's also where we look at that as well, which can lead to inflammatory disorders like pancreatitis, pancreatic cancer, recurrent pancreatitis, and all of these things. So this applies not only to elderly people, also to children, because metabolic disorders do exist in children, and that's becoming prevalent not only in endocrine pancreas but also in the exocrine ones.
Very rightly mentioned, sir. So, continuing on the similar lines, since you mentioned different and diverse fields of view that your lab is looking into, how do you feel translating your fundamental research into clinical applications has given you some roadblocks or hurdles, and how do you overcome it?
So I think we go with this mindset that we have a problem, and then we try to solve the problem and then see how we can fit that problem to the clinic. Nowadays, I think it should have been opposite, where the clinical problems should be brought up and then maybe we should solve that. I think that will make it more feasible and easy to bring up the deliverables. So that's what I am seeing, or how I want to change myself. I don't know from the clinical perspective how this can be changed. So I can't answer that, but I'm sure there will probably be hurdles that we can also talk about it, and that can probably get better.
This brings me to my next question, which is, how do you feel platforms like TreatDM pave a way to this collaborative approach where people from clinical background, fundamental research, as well as pharmaceutical industries and medtech come together to explore the research problems? How do you feel such platforms are important, and how beneficial do they serve for the fundamental research translation?
So I think in this aspect, as far as I know, there are very few places where medtech and then basic science and pharma and clinicians meet together. So we have created a platform. So platform is only a sort of foundation to that. The building has to be built, and that totally depends on these four verticals where they come together to define their problems and take it forward, and that has to happen, and that is still a challenge, I know, but I think we have created the foundation. We'll start laying the bricks is where I'll leave it at, I think.
Yeah, you answered my next question also, which was like, how do you envision the future of IISc and ICON coming together in further taking it ahead from the first step, and how do you feel the next upcoming meetings would further benefit the clinicians and the researchers together?
I'm sure that in every four verticals that you mentioned now, medtech, industry, basic science, and clinicians, they have their own set of problems which they don't find solutions for. I think pitching the problem and then saying, can you solve it, may be the way to go. And that is what I would envision in the upcoming meetings. Maybe with that, we can have solutions that can be delivered to people. Will take a few years, hopefully not decades, but I hope it will happen soon.
Very insightful, sir. Finally, I would like to know your concluding remarks and your advices for the younger researchers and clinicians who are aspiring to bridge a gap between these fundamental research and the translational applications.
So I think you brought up a very nice thing with younger researchers, right? So when I was young, nobody told me that, always you go with the same sort of background where you do basic science and then you get into a PhD with basic science and then you continue doing basic science. Maybe that's not the way. That is outdated, is what I feel. I think you should do different things. You should probably do, let's say, medtech and then enter into basic science, or maybe do pharma and then enter into basic science, or do clinical sting and enter into basic science. There are examples of that kind, which are very few, but there are there, and they're more successful. Is rather than saying more successful, they're more satisfied that they can solve the problems because they see to a different lens. I think that might be a good thing to do if you're a basic science or let's say a clinician and you're young. and that training would probably take you through in the long-term future.
Rightfully said, sir. With this, thank you so much for your precious time and insights, and thank you.
Thank you so much.